Wednesday this week is we always get caught up into talking about our own stories, but we don't talk about how fibroids and hysterectomies and those things affect the people around us. And so today, I wanted to bring you guys inside of my world a little bit more closer, a little bit more personal, and I wanted you guys to meet and hear from my children. Let me be clear. We have not had this conversation before. My children know my story, they know what I've been through, but we've never had the conversation of what they went through, what they had to deal with, and how they felt when I was going through all of the things that I was going through, all of the surgeries, all of the issues that I had, and how it affected their life. And so today, I am hearing this for the first time, the way that you guys are hearing it for the first time. And I think this is so important to have these conversations. Even though we, the women, we have the fibroids, we deal with all of the issues, but again, it's so important for us to educate the people around us, but also just to hear from them and what they have to deal with, because we don't often recognize what the people around us have to deal with. And so that's what we're going to do today. So I'm going to introduce you to my children. Again, this is the first time we've had this conversation, and I'm so thankful that they are willing to allow you guys into their personal space and to hear their side and their take of the issues that I dealt with having fibroids and my hysterectomy. So I'm going to start with my oldest son. He's going to introduce himself, and then we're going to go around and we're going to have this little quick conversation.
Hey guys, I'm Donnie, also known as Donnie. I have alongside me my youngest brother.
Yeah, I'm Donnell, 2-year-old child. And this
I'm Bria, the oldest.
And these are my me plus threes. So today, y'all, I wanted to be open and transparent because, again, I think it's so important for us to have the conversation of, what you guys had to deal with. I know that you all had to deal with a lot, especially you, Bria, being the oldest. And so I just want to hear, like, what was it like for y'all seeing me go through that stuff? What was it like for y'all growing up? And a lot of times I wasn't there, I was missing, or I couldn't take part in activities and all this stuff. What was it like for y'all seeing y'all mother suffer from fibroids, passing out all the time, to a hysterectomy and all of the subsequent surgeries? So, who wants to go first?
I mean, it was difficult. Especially being the oldest, it was like a lot of, not pressure, but a lot of responsibilities on me to get certain stuff done, or to have to help guide or raise on me a little. But just seeing you in pain and seeing you going through stuff it was just hard. I know it was hard on all of us, but me especially being a woman, a young woman growing up, and not knowing if I would have the same issue to the thing when I got older.
And that's so important because we don't know, and we know that 80% of African American women, before they reach the age of 50, they suffer with fibroids. So that's a good point. You not knowing if you would deal with the things that I went through, and then just like you said, being the oldest and having to deal with a lot of things. And we're gonna get more into that in a second. We'll go to the second oldest.
Being a male and just seeing that, it made me want to do more, be more, and to make sure that I can take care of not only myself but everyone. Like I wanted to be able to provide and make sure that everybody's health or the wellness within the household was together. So for me, it kind of put me in a place of thinking like, you gotta do better. You gotta be, you gotta be a man. You gotta step up. You gotta take care of certain things. Although I was young, that was my thought process. Like I wanted to be able to take care of everyone because of what was going on. So that's my take on it.
And for you, the baby, little, you were younger, so I'm not gonna say that you didn't have responsibility, but what was it like for you being the youngest? Like, how did you deal with it, or did you deal with it? Like, what did you feel, or how did you navigate through all of the stuff that we had to deal with?
I feel like because I was the youngest, I felt like I was protecting me by not really letting me understand what was going on. Like not fully. I feel like I wasn't fully in tune in depth. So a lot of the stuff that went on, a lot of the stuff that happened that affected me, I just went through it alone. And I stayed in the room because it's like, even though I know like y'all love me and y'all probably, was the most attentive to me, I feel like the attention that I got wasn't the right attention, and I didn't have the right answers for what I was going through. So it just made a whole rack of wrong in a whole rack of places that was unintentional on my part. Like I didn't want to cause more stress. I didn't want to cause more grief. You feel what I'm saying? But I also felt like I needed to do something, and the only thoughts that I had were my own or Donnie. You feel what I'm saying? Because I really didn't talk to nobody about anything that I really went through, or I really didn't express how I really felt to nobody. Everybody just felt like I was okay, and I just went through it all.
And it's so funny that you say that, because you're right. Like a lot of things we didn't like. I think we tried to, like you said, protect you from it because you were the baby. This is so hard for me because it's so hard because I think a lot of the way you are now is because I wasn't active with you when you were younger, because I was going through what I was going through. And so I think a lot of the issues, and y'all, this is just being really transparent, a lot of the issues that you and I had is because we didn't have that connection, because I was always sick. And I couldn't give you the attention that you wanted or needed because I was always sick. And so I get it, I understand. What was it like? So what is it like now that you know now what I was going through then? Like, how do you feel about knowing what you know now as opposed to back then when you didn't know all of what was going on?
I feel like, and this is something I came to on this year alone, like it's like a work in progress for everything. This is not something that we just like you said, we didn't just think this up and try to say this stuff just right now. This is something that we going through for real. And like, I feel like now I realize that it's not that you love me less. It's not that like you felt some type of way, you didn't care more. You literally didn't have time for me. You feel what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, after you teach Bria how to be a woman, after you train Donnie how to be a man, after you fight your own internal battles with the fibroids, with the surgeries, with the stress, the bills, the kids, like the family members, the deaths going on, you feel what I'm saying? Everything that you had to go through, I feel like it's like you didn't have time, and that's okay because I'm a parent now too, and I understand that you're gonna get tired, bro, beyond any point of tiredness that you thought of. Even if you're not working, if you're not working, if you going out to eat, if you're going out on a date, you're gonna be tired because at the end of the day, you gotta give your energy to your kids, and energy is scarce. At the end of the day, I wanted you to be a superhero, a superwoman that can do for all of us. But at the end of the day, you're human and you got real stuff that you're going through. So I can't blame you for being human, Like I can't blame you for mistakes that's in the past. We can only go forward and change who we are so we can be better for each other in the future. that's how I feel about it.
And Bria, I want to come back to you. Bria, I want to come back to you because you are the oldest, right? And I remember the day that. Do you remember this when we were around the man? We lived around the man, and I knew something was wrong. Like I knew, and this was after my hysterectomy. When all of the surgeries, all of the problems started, and I remember that day when I begged you. I said, "Brie, I was laying in your bed, and I said, Brie, can you please put some socks on my feet and call the ambulance?" And that was the day that I went to the emergency room, and when I got there, I vomited all over the emergency room floor, and the nurses and the doctors, they came and they were like, "You need to have surgery in the next 30 minutes or you're not going to make it." And I ended up in a hospital for a week fighting for my life. What was that like for you when you had to be the one to call the ambulance and when I didn't come back that week?
It was crazy because I didn't know what was going on. I just thought you was sick, your stomach was hurting, you would go to the hospital, you would come back. And when you was gone for that week and like grandma and them, we couldn't like really see you. We just thought, well, I just thought something was really wrong and like maybe she not coming back. Maybe it was something, really hurting her stomach, but not knowing it was something totally crazy. So it was crazy for me being that young and going through that and then having to explain it on the little. When they came back in the house, playing outside like, "Where my God?" So it was a lot. It was a lot of pressure.
And that was the week that I spent the week on life support. That was the week where I remember they wouldn't let y'all come to the hospital to see me because when I was laying there, like grandma couldn't even come see me. Like nobody recognized me. I didn't look like myself. And I think they were trying to protect y'all from that, and they didn't want y'all to see that or to see me that way. So that was the week that I was in the hospital.
I don't think now that I think about it, I really don't even remember you leaving or nothing like that. I remember like you been in the hospital. Yeah. I remember you been in the hospital or something like that, but I didn't know how severe it was until time passed and you was preparing for your I think your most recent surgery and we revisited. It was like, you was on life support and then we seen pictures and all of that, and I was like, still to this day, like I really don't remember you leaving or nothing like that, but I always remember like we always had a conversation like we would say to each other like, "I'm gonna spend no time in the bathroom." Like you go to the bathroom, it was like 30 seconds, and it was like, "I'm on the shower." That's probably the longest time you spent in the bathroom was like a shower. But other than that, you like probably like 5 minutes in the bathroom if you say you gotta use the bathroom. Tops. And I ain't clock your bathroom time. I definitely like I'm on the bathroom, like say I gotta use the bathroom, I'm like, well, I gotta pee real bad, and you in there, I'm like, oh, she gonna be right out.
And that was the time where I didn't know at the time. I thought I was just constipated. I didn't know. I didn't know at that time that they had severed my intestines. And so I couldn't go to the bathroom. So my bowels was backing up in my system. And so when I started losing weight and I was getting really, really small and turning really, really dark, that's what it was. So that's why I couldn't go to the bathroom. That's why, it was always a joke that mom don't stay in the bathroom no time because that's what was happening to me at that time. And then, so y'all, again, I'm talking to my children about what they went through when I had my surgeries from, I had fibroids, I had a hysterectomy, I severed my intestines, I had 11 abdominal surgeries, and I spent a week on life support. And I'm always telling my story. I'm always talking about my story with fibroids and hysterectomy and the things that I went through. But we've never had this conversation. And I think it's so important, and that is why I advocate and I go so hard so that women don't have to go through what I went through, or that your children don't have to go through what my children went through, because it was a lot for kids to have to see their mom go through this, to have to, their mother missing out on a lot of milestones in their childhoods. And then it was like, again, you were the youngest, and so when you're playing football and all of that stuff, I remember having to get family members to go to your games because I couldn't be there because I was sick. So this is the conversation that we're having today, and this is just so transparent. This not a script. This not nothing. This is our real life. Like this, these are things that we went through, and even to this day, I still have issues, but they're not as severe as it was back then. So I want to go back to what was it like for y'all when, Bree, your senior year, right? I remember you had a half a day schedule, and I had another surgery. And do y'all remember when I had the drain tubes and all of that stuff? And y'all had to like change my drain tubes, and you had to measure the blood and write it down. And what was that like for you? Because I feel like you were robbed of your senior year because you had to go to school and then come home, feed me, take me to the bathroom, wash me up, all that stuff, and then go to work. And then you had to come home and feed the boys, take them to football practice, do all of these things that I should have been doing. And so you didn't get to enjoy your senior year. So what was that like for you? Like, were you upset? Like, were you mad? Do you feel like you were robbed of your senior year? Like, what do you feel like?
Yeah, I feel like I had a funky good time my senior year.
Girl, you had the time. Hey.
I feel like my senior year was good. I mean, I felt like I was in my bag half the day going to work. It wasn't too bad. It was tiring though. Like, go to school, even though it was a half a day, you go to school, send long classes, get out of school, you gotta come home, and now you gotta be at work at a certain time, so you gotta get all this done before you go to work, and you still gotta be on time. Then come back home, you ain't like to take a shower, get in bed, chill. You gotta go pick Lulu up from football practice, make sure they get something to eat. All that. Then like on the weekends, I take them to get their hair cut, make sure they got little stuff.
Yeah, I don't think it was.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad because I started working, so it was like, I can help out a little bit. Make sure they got haircut for school. Make sure they got this for school. It wasn't that bad. I don't feel like I was robbed.
Yeah, I think around that time we grew a little closer because we were all we had. Like, we were bonding, we was getting up, getting out. Bray was driving around the town in our own car, so it wasn't like, we was just there. But I think we bonded.
At first, like, we had no choice but to beat it.
Yeah, we was bonding, and I think all of your surgeries as a whole is why we are because all that we went through. But I think that year we were really bonding. But for me, I don't mean to take away from Bria senior year, but for me it was like I think that was your last surgery, right?
That wasn't the last one actually.
Well, I think
that was the next to the last one because I had another one after that one.
Right. But I think that one it started the fear of it started questioning like the what ifs, and I was just I was bossing around the town, and that was like a stress relief for me. But at the back of my mind, going to school and stuff like that, it was just that what if feeling as we prepared for it. Because you told us the stories and we was able to understand at that point, what happened in the past. So I think that started my fear of like, I hate the idea of going to a needle or anything, And then we have friends and family that went, had surgery and stuff like that. And
that's when I had my little surgery in April. I I was so anxious, like when they had to put me to sleep, and I'm like, what the hell did I wake up?
Right. And that was my thought. Like, we have people, pass away either going behind the doors of a surgeon room and ain't come out. So I really started thinking about stuff like that.
And I think the one thing for me was like, I remember because of all the surgeries prior to, I remember, God, I'm sorry, I'm so emotional. I remember writing down on the, do you remember the yellow notepad? When I wrote down all the bills, and I gave you my bank card and I said, if I don't come back this time, this is how you pay the bills. This is how you take care of your brothers. This is what you're supposed to do. And I remember when I came home, do you remember this when you were like, I came home from the hospital and you were like, Mom, I came in the room, I needed you when I came in the room and I forgot that you were in the hospital, you weren't there. Do you remember what you said? It was just hard. What was it like for y'all, like having to give y'all, as boys, having to give your mother a bath, having to change drinks? I remember when y'all had to help me walk, I couldn't even walk. Like, what was that like? Like, how did y'all deal with that?
I feel like it's catch 22 because on one token you feel like you're doing something. You feel like you're not just one of these little kids that be out here just just doing whatever every other little kid do. But on the same token, it's like you got this pent up. Well, for me, like you got this anger because why this happening to your mom and like why this happening to us? Why can't we live normal lives like normal people? And it's like I don't know. It make you want to fight for what's right, fight for people, fight for your family. It make you want to fight because at the end of the day, you can't fight fibroids. You can't put your hands on it. It's the rest. You can't put your hands on that stuff. So it make you angry at the world, bitter because you feel like somehow something out there caused this for your family, and it's nothing you can do about it yourself because you only who you are at the time.
To speak to the actual washing and stuff like that, like, I ain't know what I was doing. Like, you really don't know what you're doing, and then being a kid, it's like, you don't know the intensity of the pain or how you really feel, so it's like we was walking on eggshells, and sometimes I feel like I wasn't enough. Like, I'm so young, I'm so small, I can barely stand on my own 2 feet without falling, so I can't really help you and knowing that you hurt and you can't twist and turn and move for it. So I think that was very difficult. Just trying to gauge how to. I'm like 75 pounds, how to lift you up, and put you in places and position where you're comfortable. And I remember, I think my biggest thing was trying to make sure he was comfortable. Like, if anything, just make sure he was straight.
And so, this last thing, and we can wrap it up because I don't want to keep y'all going. What advice, because my thing is, this again, Fibroid Awareness Month. So, what advice would you give to people that are dealing with someone that has fibroids, or what they may be going through now that you see, or you've seen what it's like, how it could either bond a family together or destroy your family? Because we had moments, and again, this is completely transparent, we had moments where I could not work. We had moments where we were evicted, we had cars repossessed, we went through all of those things, but we were still able to grow through those things and still maintain as a family and still stay together. And I always tell people there's a purpose for your pain, right? And so I understand that the purpose in my pain is that I can help somebody else, so they don't have to go through what we went through. But also, I feel like a lot of people would like to say that y'all were like sheltered or y'all got everything, but I think it's because
They don't know that.
right. But I think it's because I miss so much, and it's not like making up for it, but it's like whatever I could do now because I couldn't do it then. And then also the other part of the purpose for I honestly believe, because we have to give God the glory in everything that we do. So I believe and I thank God for what I did go through, because I honestly believe that had I not gone through this, I was a single mother raising 2 sons. You get what I'm saying? So it could be any other way. Y'all could have been out there in the streets. Y'all could have been locked up. You could have been, anything could have happened, but because y'all had to take care of me, because y'all had to be there for me, I think that's what saved y'all. So ultimately, God saved me, but He also saved my children. And so, just really, really quick, what advice would you guys give to people that may be suffering from fibroids or had a hysterectomy or, going through different things? How do you lend support? What's the most important thing about, being a support system for a person that may be going through this?
I would say be there. Like, just be there. Even if you don't understand, just your presence. Like you said, us taking care of you probably kept us from so much stuff. And then seeing real life situations so young, it kind of altered the way we think. Like, people call me an old man all the time, but I think it's just the things that I've seen that kind of aged me before I, grew up. But just being present and just, you got locked arms. I feel like what we did, we were so young, and when you were down, we made sure each other was straight. We kept each other, afloat, and just made sure everybody was okay. But us being present for each other, like if I was always outside and Tag was doing tag and Bird was doing Bird, we probably would have, I don't know how it would have ended up, but just us being there and knowing the importance of us being there, it changed. It brought us to where we are today. So just being present.
What would you say?
I would say mental health. Like, out of everything, I feel like the only reason we were able to stay together, we was able to be apart, is because, and it's not all the time, like it's times where I'm super distant, it's times where, mom's super yelly and like super, on edge. Now for real, because we can't act like life was all sweet.
Yeah,
it's times where Bria was so upset, you feel what I'm saying, that she like pushing my face into the ground and stuff, like a little kid. Nah, for real, but for real. But like I feel like through all that, we always stayed together in the mind, you know what I'm saying? We never let any situation become too big for us to say, all right, we not family no more, we not together. It's time where we fought so bad that we like, all right, we done with it. But I feel like mentally we all know that we all got each other backs. And I feel like if you out there and you helping somebody with fibroids, if you have fibroids yourself, understand that is a huge problem in your life, but at the same time, your mental health will carry you through. And I feel like your mental health also goes with your spiritual health, because where your mind at is where God will be also if you're in the right place. So I feel like you keep your mind right, you keep your mind clear and fresh, you keep the people around you clear and fresh, and y'all keep a positive note at the worst of times, and understand the situation at the best of times.
Yeah, baby. It's like, I don't know. I just agree with them and being patient. Everything takes time, especially when you're going through something like the things that you went through. Be patient, trust God. It's all a process.
Well, I just want to tell y'all that I really, really appreciate y'all taking the time to do this and sharing y'all side, because again, we never get to hear from the people that infect directly, and so for y'all to be able to share what y'all went through, so that other people can understand. Because again, I tell my story all the time, but we never hear from y'all, the people that were there, the people that had to, to roll up their sleeves, the people that had to grow up, way before their time, or just really had to, do things that they never imagined. So I really appreciate y'all for doing this and understanding my movement, understanding why I do the things that I do, understanding why I am the way that I am, and for you, little, understanding why, when you felt like I wasn't there, why I couldn't be there. So I really appreciate y'all for that, and I just want y'all to know that if I was not there, if y'all felt like I was absent or I couldn't do, or all of the things that we went through, if y'all ever felt any type of way, it was not intentional. It was something that happened to me beyond my control. But I would like to think that, well, now I know that y'all understand, and that makes us better. That makes our relationship and our situation better. So I thank y'all for that. I thank y'all for y'all forgiveness if I wasn't what y'all wanted or the type of mom that y'all wanted, but I can honestly say that I have really, really good children. I appreciate y'all for being who y'all are. Again, you guys, I thank y'all for taking the time to spend with me and my children, listen to their stories, because it's not about me, it's about them today. So listen to their stories on this Wellness Wednesday. Ladies, if you think you have fibroids, if you're not sure, if you're having heavy cycles, make sure you guys go to usafibroidcenters.com, schedule your consultations. You are not alone. You do not have to go through this alone. I am fibroid free. Even though I'm fibroid free, back then I didn't know that I had options, but you ladies have options. USA Fibroid Center specializes in UFE, that's the uterine fibroid immunization. Schedule your consultation. You don't have to go through what I went through. A hysterectomy is the last thing that I would advise. Make sure you go to usafibroidcenters.com. You can reach out to any of the brand ambassadors. We're all over the internet, and we are really pushing this movement the entire month of July. It's Fibroid Awareness Month, and that is what this is all about. So I thank you guys for tuning in and sharing with us. I thank my children, and we will be back soon, because the one thing that we didn't talk about was, like you said, Lou, the mental health part of it. Because y'all know I had to see a psychiatrist, I was taking medication, all that stuff. So that's a whole another story that we will get into at another time. But again, I thank y'all. We might make this a series. But thank you guys again for tuning in, and we will talk to y'all soon.